8 years ago, someone sent compromising evidence about Britt's father to her mother's phone. He didn't deny it, but he begged her for forgiveness, asking her to keep the family together for Britt's sake. However, she was determined and immediately filed for divorce, property division, and alimony. After the divorce, Britt's father visited a few more times before buying a new apartment and moving in with his lover and her daughter. Britt's father never forgot about her. He frequently visited, paid for her university education, and when Britt decided to get married, he gifted the young couple a 3-bedroom apartment. He also got his son-in-law a job at his company. A year ago, he even found a job for his stepdaughter. Right after graduating from university, Britt gave birth to a son. Her father adored his only grandchild. Zach was already 2.5 years old, but his grandfather was still eager to carry him around and feed him with a spoon. Britt had never met her father's stepdaughter, Kelly. There had never been a need. Today, distant relatives invited her and her husband to a Jubilee celebration. Britt didn't want to go since these were her father's relatives, and he had long since started a new family. But at the last moment, she agreed. It was only now that she realized she shouldn't have. Her father's stepdaughter clung to her husband all evening, and Roger, after having a few drinks, forgot about his wife and openly flirted with Kelly. She should have taken her husband home, but she had no desire to. A close friend had called her earlier to share some troubling news. "Britt, it's really none of my business, but I think you should know. If you're interested, I can send you photos of your husband. He booked a hotel room yesterday. It was registered under Kelly Baker, and your husband paid in cash. What they did there for 2.5 hours, I don't know, since we don't have cameras in the rooms." Kelly Baker was her father's stepdaughter. That evening, Roger had indeed been late coming home from work. Britt decided to verify the information before confronting Roger seriously. She planned to hire a private detective to follow her husband, but tonight made it clear that wasn't necessary. The sparks flying between Kelly and Roger were evident to everyone. "Well, here I am, sitting with you. If it makes you feel better, I'll sit here all night. You're in a bad mood and won't let me have fun. Fine, I'll sit next to you and drink vodka," Roger said sarcastically, downing another shot, openly staring at Kelly, and refusing to back down. "Tonight, I won't kick you out, but tomorrow you'll pack your things and move in with your lover. Thank God she has her own apartment, so you have a place to go. One thing I don't get, if Kelly has her own apartment, why do you hide and book hotel rooms? Are you afraid some relatives might suddenly show up and catch you?" Britt retorted. Roger gave a strange smile and snorted irritably. "Don't you have anything better to do? Have you really stooped to spying on me? You're making up all this nonsense. It's laughable." Roger had this habit. Whenever she challenged him, he was ready to do anything to prove he was right. Britt didn't respond. She thought she knew her husband well, but today Roger shattered not only her heart, but also the pedestal she had placed him on, polishing it daily. "Let's go home," Britt said. Seeing her father leaving with his girlfriend, she waved to him. He gestured for her to call him tomorrow. Forcing a smile, Britt nodded. "Let's stay a little longer. At least another half hour," Roger replied, reaching for another drink. "Stop drinking. You're already slurring your words." It was disgusting to sit at the same table, watching Kelly devour her husband with her eyes while he played the hero. She wanted to slap him and work out, but she needed to see this play out to the end, so she wouldn't blame herself later for something that wasn't her fault. As soon as her father and his wife left the hall, Kelly instantly moved to the free seat next to Roger. "I'm telling you for the last time. Are you coming with me or staying?" Britt said again. "Aren't you tired of sitting at home? It's been almost 3 years since you've been on maternity leave. Child, house, kitchen, playground. I would have gone crazy with that routine. Take a break," Kelly said. Britt felt her heart race again. The last thing she needed was this upstart telling her how to live her life. "No one asked for your opinion. Are you following in your beloved mother's footsteps? trying to break up another family. Aren't there enough single men for you? Brit couldn't hold back. The music blared in the hall. Guests were starting to leave. There was no one around them, so they could say anything without being overheard. Maybe you made a mistake marrying the wrong man, Kelly said, placing a hand on Roger's shoulder. That's it, Brit said, standing up. Roger, are you coming home? To her surprise, Roger silently nodded, removed Kelly's hand, and began to get up. He reeked of alcohol. Brit used to accept her husband in any state, but tonight she looked at him with a storm of conflicting emotions inside her, a fear for her future that promised nothing good. I think I leave too, Kelly said, getting up. Brit wanted to grab the wretch by the arm and force her back into her seat. She was just like her mother. Her mother had orchestrated it so that Brit's mom found out about her father's affair. Then she sat back and waited for her moment. How disgusting they both were. Seeing a taxi outside the restaurant, Brit opened the door and got into the front seat. Roger was in no hurry to get in, saying goodbye to Kelly. She whispered something in his ear, then turned her head and met Brit's outraged gaze, loudly proclaiming for everyone to hear, "Maybe I want you to work me home. I'm afraid of the dark. Sister, will you let your husband go?" Roger tried to break away, but it was futile. He and Kelly started laughing. Brit could never have imagined finding herself in such a situation. She felt hysteria building inside her and took a deep breath to calm down. "Let's go. Aren't we waiting for the gentleman?" the taxi driver asked in surprise. "No," Brit replied. When she got home, Brit made herself some coffee. Something told her she wouldn't be sleeping tonight. It was 11 o'clock. She needed to talk to someone. After thinking for a moment, she decided to call her mother. "Mom, did I wake you? I wanted to ask about Zach." "No, I'm awake. I just put him to bed. He didn't want to sleep without you." She didn't want to upset her mother, but her voice trembled, and Brit was shaking. It felt like molten lava was running through her veins instead of blood. "Did you come home early?" her mother cautiously asked, sensing her mood. "Is everything okay?" Her head was splitting from the realization that her husband had humiliated her today, showing his complete indifference. "I came home alone. Roger stayed with Kelly. I think they're having an affair. They were exchanging glances all evening. And recently, a friend sent me photos of them checking into a hotel." There was silence on the other end of the line. Her mother had always defended Roger, saying he was the only breadwinner in the family, worked hard, and was often tired. She always told Brit she should surround him with warmth and attention. "How did he stay with Kelly? Did you leave him there alone? Tell me everything that happened." Tears streamed down Brit's cheeks as she recounted their wonderful evening. The worst part was not just that Roger had cheated, but that he had shown affection to a girl Brit considered her enemy. She never wanted to hear anything about Kelly's mother either. "Awful. Your father cheated on me back then, and now he's created the conditions for your husband to follow in his footsteps. He's going to hear from me. I'm not staying silent anymore. I'll call him right now. Honey, I'll call you back." As soon as her mother hung up, the front door opened, and her husband walked in. Brit's heart skipped a beat, and she felt like she couldn't breathe. It would have been better if he hadn't come home at all. His face showed no remorse, only hurt and irritation. "Brit, was it so hard to wait? I work with Kelly. I can't just ignore her." Roger wasn't planning to apologize. He had decided that the best defense was a good offense. "Go to bed. We'll talk tomorrow." Brit opened the closet, took out some bedding, and threw it on the couch. She had no intention of sharing a bed with her husband. Roger didn't argue. He silently undressed. As soon as he went into the bathroom, Brit's mother called again. "Honey, I gave that old scoundrel a piece of my mind. Your father said he's coming over right now. So, be prepared. I couldn't persuade him to wait until morning." Her mother paused. "Has Roger come home?" "Yes. He accused me of abandoning him. Apparently, I should have stayed and waited quietly while he and Kelly had their fun. Her mother sighed with relief. All right, honey, I'll wait for your call. I'm curious why your father is coming over at this hour. If he starts defending his stepdaughter, he can forget about visiting you. I won't forgive him. Make sure he knows that. Hearing the doorbell, Roger came out of the bedroom. Britt, sorry we came so late, but I couldn't wait until morning. Kelly followed her father into the apartment. Her eyes immediately locked onto Britt's displeased face. Britt felt a surge of anger. Her father, seeing Britt's confused expression, explained that they needed Kelly to get to the bottom of things. It was better to resolve everything he and now. Come in. Britt sighed heavily, inviting them all to the kitchen. I want to know what's going on, her father asked. Here's the proof. Your son-in-law and your stepdaughter booked a hotel room together. If you don't believe me, you can see for yourself. Britt sent her father the photos, clearly showing Roger and Kelly entering and then leaving the room together. And tonight, I saw it with my own eyes. Maybe you didn't notice, but I watched them all evening. Roger snorted, crossing his arms. He clearly didn't like any of this. Is this true? Her father looked at Roger. Getting no answer, he turned to Kelly. Dad, you went through all this mess yourself when you got involved with your lover. You should understand that a man and a woman don't book a hotel room to play chess. Besides, Kelly has a very good example right in front of her. Her mother broke up a family too. Tears threatened to spill, but Britt held them back, determined not to show her weakness. She had purposely reminded her father of his own infidelity 8 years ago. If this is true, they'll both be out of the company by Monday. And as for him, he turned to Roger. He can pack his things and be gone. And you, he looked at Kelly with disdain. You ungrateful brat. Did you really decide to follow in your mother's footsteps? His last words were spoken with such contempt. It was as if he were addressing a stranger, not his stepdaughter. What have you ever done for me? You gave Britt an apartment. You bought Britt a car. You always talk about how smart your grandson is. And Kelly, she doesn't need anything. She has an apartment, sure, but it's the old one her mother got after the divorce, and it's in terrible shape. How many times has Mom asked you to at least renovate it? But Kelly isn't Britt. She can tolerate it. Do you think I don't want to live separately from you all? Kelly narrowed her eyes. That's why I decided to spite your precious daughter. Life is full of surprises. What can we do if we fell in love? I remember how you ran from your wife to my mom. Or is it okay for you but not for others? Her words hit like a punch to the gut. Britt sniffled and glanced at her father's pale face. Lucas, Britt, don't listen to her. Nothing happened between Kelly and me. She's been pursuing me, but I don't want her. I booked the room to talk to her calmly and explain that I love my wife and son. Roger began to defend himself, but Lucas interrupted and turned back to Kelly. What an ungrateful person you are. I paid for your university education. I told your mother that as soon as you were ready to get married, we'd sell that old apartment, buy a new one, and renovate it as our gift to you. Kelly smirked slyly. Very well. Now you can fulfill your promise, Daddy. Kelly sneered. As soon as Roger divorces your precious Britt, we'll get married. Are you out of your mind? I swear she's lying. There's nothing between us, and there never will be. I was just playing along, pretending I liked her, but it never went beyond harmless flirting. Roger shouted. It's too late. Roger, denying it is useless. I'm pregnant, Kelly announced. Lucas, you can't fire me, but you can start fulfilling your other promises. We need to get everything done before the baby comes. What do you think of my plan, Roger? For a few seconds, everyone was silent. Then Lucas broke the silence by slamming his fist on the table. You don't know me well. If this turns out to be true, you and your mother will move into that old one-bedroom apartment tomorrow. That won't work, Lucas. Kelly sneered again. There are tenants in the apartment. We have nowhere to go. Watching the exchange between his father-in-law and his stepdaughter, Roger finally realized how much he feared losing Britt. He would give anything to never see Kelly again. He had to have been a real fool to get involved with her. Kelly had always envied Britt. When they first slept together, she completely lost her mind. She mocked Britt, saying she was just like her foolish mother. At first, Roger tried to shut her up, but eventually, he stopped paying attention. All right, Kelly is a fool. But you, son-in-law, what were you thinking? Did you really expect me to turn a blind eye to the mess you made behind my daughter's back? You're a grown man. Did you really think Kelly would easily let you go? She's just like her mother. If she sees a goal, nothing will stop her. Lucas sneered, turning his gaze to Kelly's calm face. I repeat, there was never anything between Kelly and me. I love my wife, and I don't need anyone else. Roger decided to deny everything to the end. Britt smirked. From his dotting eyes and trembling hands, she knew he was lying. But even under the threat of death, he would stick to his story and never confess. If you don't believe me, I can show you the photos. There are even a couple where Roger is fully naked. I saved the messages on purpose. I knew they'd come in handy. Kelly pulled out her phone from her purse and started scrolling through the photos. What a snake. When did she manage to take so many pictures? Then, as if mocking, she began reading the messages aloud. Lucas pursed his lips and nodded silently, indicating there was nothing more to discuss. An oppressive silence hung in the room. After sitting in complete silence for a few minutes, Lucas couldn't hold back any longer and addressed Roger. Why are you standing there? Go pack your things. Do you really think Britt will forgive you? He turned to his daughter. Do you need help kicking him out? Or can you handle it yourself? Britt, please forgive me. I'm just an idiot. Seeing Roger fall to his knees before Britt, Kelly looked shocked with her mouth slightly open. Lucas snorted, shook his head, and turned away. Don't make me laugh. Get up. You realize your credibility is shot. Pack your things and leave. Thankfully, your mistress provided irrefutable evidence. Otherwise, you'd still be swearing that nothing happened between you two. Roger was still on his knees. Kelly, with her eyes wide with horror, hypnotized him and still couldn't believe what was happening. Lucas was barely holding himself back from attacking Roger with his fists. Are you going to take long? I've already sent a message. Someone will be here in half an hour to change the locks. If you haven't packed your things by then, you'll leave here in your underwear. Start saving, Roger. You'll get your settlement on Monday, and you'll have to find a new job. Lucas turned to Kelly. This concerns you too. Don't threaten me with your pregnancy. If you don't want to quit, I'll fire you for misconduct. With a heavy sigh, Roger got up and walked into the living room. I'll go help. Let him take everything and leave at once. I don't want him coming back here. Britt glanced at Kelly and followed Roger out. As promised, exactly half an hour later, the doorbell rang. A man came and changed the lock. Lucas thanked him for his work. As soon as the man left, Lucas turned to Roger again. Are you ready? Roger rolled a suitcase out into the corridor, followed by a large bag. He mechanically reached for the car keys. I'll need the car. If you can prove during the divorce that it's marital property, I'll pay you half its value, Britt said, silently shaking his head. Roger left the apartment. Kelly ran after him. Britt barely audibly groaned, clutching her head and turning away, avoiding her father's gaze. Well, daughter, time for bed. Lucas patted her shoulder. I guess I won't be sleeping tonight. We've sorted things out with your husband, and now I'm off to sort things out with Tara. Let her take her daughter and both leave with their things. Let them not think they can get away with it. Are you happy? Dragging the bags into the elevator, Roger snorted. It was disgusting to look at Kelly's pleased face. After the unpleasant conversation with his wife and Lucas, he felt like nothing. Why wouldn't I be? Kelly replied. What are you so happy about? I don't see any reason for joy. If you think I'll stay with you, you're greatly mistaken. Don't get mad. It's not becoming of you. I acted that way because resisting was pointless. If you hadn't opened your mouth, the situation wouldn't have spiraled out of control. Roger shook his head. Let me tell you a very scary secret. I never wanted to leave my wife. Any time I spent with you was merely out of boredom. I'll say it again. Don't be angry. It's over. Britt will never forgive you. And we'll have a baby soon. Before you get rough with me, think about it. We have a place to live. We'll renovate my apartment. And don't worry about Lucas. He's fiery, but he's reasonable. My mom has long adapted to his character. Don't worry, he'll calm down. Even if he fires us on Monday, he'll hire us back in a week. My mom will sort it out for us. Kelly tried to reassure him. Go to hell, along with your mommy. Roger said, here, take these. Kelly handed him the keys. I was kidding about the tenants. They moved out recently. No one's living in the apartment right now. You can stay there temporarily. I'd rather go to a hotel than stay in your apartment. Roger replied, can't sleep. Lucas sneered as Tara emerged from the bedroom in a robe. I was worried. How did the talk go? Did you sort everything out? She asked, studying his discontented expression. A ringing silence filled the apartment. Lucas silently walked into the living room and slumped wearily into a chair. Come in, girls. Don't be shy. Our conversation will be tough, but not long, he said. Tara instantly blushed, glancing at her daughter. Kelly casually waved her hand and walked into the living room, sitting across from Lucas. Leaning against the door frame, Tara tried to catch her breath and calm down. Strange feelings swept over them, one after the other: worry, fear, the inability to understand each other, and perhaps the heaviest of all, betrayal. Lucas had always been sure that Tara truly loved him and would never betray him. Tara, did you know your daughter was sleeping with my daughter's husband? What are you talking about? She asked uncertainly. I'm talking about your daughter getting into bed with my son-in-law. Is that clear enough? And I wouldn't advise lying. I can see from your eyes that you knew, Lucas said. So what if I knew? Kelly is a grown woman. She hasn't asked for my permission to sleep with anyone since she was a teenager. Why are you making such a fuss? Remember yourself. You divorced your wife, and no one died. Why turn this into a tragedy? They're young. They'll figure it out themselves. Tara yelled, pointing a finger at Kelly, gesturing for her to sit quietly and not interrupt. So you think nothing serious happened? Lucas smirked. I should have left you back then, but you begged for pity. And how did you repay me? By spitting in my face. Don't blame me. I spent 8 years on you. His back hurts. His head hurts. Have you ever asked about my health? I cook, clean, and do laundry all day long. All my friends have a housekeeper, but you spend all your money on your Brit. Forgetting that besides Brit, we also have Kelly. Tara tried to defend herself. Shut your mouth. Pack your things and get out of here. I don't want you or your daughter here in an hour. I don't care where you go. The main thing is not to see you again. Tara fell silent. She had never seen Lucas like this before. Lips tight, hatred in his eyes, his face flushed with anger. Lucas glanced at the clock. Time's ticking. In an hour, the guys will come and take you wherever you tell them. Tara, be smart. You know me. Hurry up. I wouldn't want to resort to extreme measures and have someone easily identify you in a psych ward. Lucas, let's talk calmly. I'm sorry. I don't know what came over me. I understand Kelly's wrong, but she's my daughter. Tears streamed down Tara's cheeks. I said get out. He slammed his fist on the table. Fine, Lucas. We'll leave now, but we'll definitely meet and talk tomorrow, Tara said, wiping her nose. She opened the closet doors, rolled out a suitcase, and began throwing in anything she could grab. It's nothing. You're not too old to find another sucker. Lucas smirked, watching Tara close the suitcase while Kelly slung a gym bag over her shoulder and opened the front door. You'll regret this, Tara said. They looked at him like two predators, ready to pounce and engage in a duel at any moment. Tara's eyes betrayed hurt, while Lucas's reflected a deserved retribution. I regret ever getting involved with you, but I have nothing else to regret, Lucas said before Tara closed the door. Why did you tell Lucas everything? I asked you not to bother Brit yet. Couldn't you restrain yourself and not hang on her husband at the restaurant? Tara said as soon as they stepped outside. As promised by Lucas, a car arrived exactly an hour later with two movers. Lucas apparently hoped they would pack all their belongings, but Tara was absolutely sure they would return soon and only gathered the essentials. What else could I do? Wait until my belly starts growing. What's the difference? Besides, Brit had dirt on us with Roger. Someone sent her photos from the hotel. There was no point in resisting. It was hopeless. Kelly sighed heavily. She didn't expect such a reaction from Lucas. Of course, she anticipated he'd be displeased. But to kick them out of the house, neither she nor her mother were prepared for such a turn of events. Now they would have to squeeze into a one-bedroom apartment for some time. Sleep together with her mother on the old couch. Kelly took out the keys from her pocket and unlocked the apartment. Immediately, a stale musty smell hit her nose. After the tenants moved out, no one had cleaned the apartment. In the hallway, there were worn-out slippers and someone's dirty socks strewn around. Empty beer cans sat on the kitchen table. Is this what you wanted? Tara asked, almost in tears. She pushed back a chair, sat down at the kitchen table. Pray to God that Lucas forgives us and allows us to come back. I don't want to stay in this mess. Mom, calm down. Don't forget, I can't afford to get nervous. We'll have to live here for a while. Bide our time. You know Lucas well. In 3 days, he'll calm down, and you'll be able to talk to him calmly. You'll shed a tear. Blame it all on me. Kelly reassured her. Oh, dear, I don't know. Why did you have to get involved with Roger of all people? It's terrifying to think what will happen to us if Lucas doesn't forgive us. Tara said. All our hope lies with you, Mom. You'll have to try very hard and once again find your way into Lucas's heart with your keys. The situation is complicated, but I think it's fixable, Kelly said. Tara sighed heavily. There was no point in approaching Lucas today. Of course, she really wanted to talk to him or at least send a voice message. But Lucas had blocked her phone number and then invited a locksmith to change the locks on the front door. It was hard to accept how easily Lucas had kicked them out of the house. If they had been legally married, Lucas wouldn't have dared to treat them like this. How many times had she asked him to legalize their relationship? But he always had some excuse. Only towards morning did Brit manage to fall asleep. She called her mom and talked to her for a long time. At first, her mom was very upset, blaming her father. But then she calmed down a bit and even praised him for helping to kick out the shameless son-in-law and not defending Kelly. The apartment was filled with a ringing silence. As soon as Brit opened her eyes, her husband's face immediately came to mind. Her heart sank at the thought of having a serious conversation with her son today. Zach was still young, but he understood everything. It would be very difficult to explain to him that Dad would now live separately. Brit got up and walked around the apartment, seeing Roger's things in the closet that he hadn't managed to take. She grabbed a bag and started throwing everything she saw into it. She felt like throwing all his things out the door. When she heard the doorbell, Brit tiptoed to the door and cautiously looked through the peephole. Roger was standing outside. She didn't open the door, but he took out his phone from his pocket and called her. What do you want? Brit answered the call. I came to talk, Roger said. About what? Yesterday, you were silent in front of my dad, and today you've come up with another batch of lies. Go to your Kelly. By the way, I've gathered all your remaining things. Please, send me her address, and I'll send them there. Brit, open up. I'll take my things myself. There's no need to send them anywhere, Roger insisted. You have no business here. Go to your mistress. Let her open her doors to you. You can also stop by the store and buy vitamins on the way. Pregnant women need calcium for normal fetal development. Britt retorted. Roger fell silent. Britt was about to hang up. She had no intention of opening the door. Are you afraid of me? Roger chuckled. Britt didn't respond. Britt, come on. You're acting like a child. Yesterday, I was a little foolish. I went to a hotel, and this morning I woke up and thought that we still have a chance. If you insist on divorce, I'll have to resort to extreme measures. Your dad's company will be plagued with inspections, and I'll tell them where to find violations. What do you think of my plan to save the family? There was silence on the line. The click of the lock made Roger smile, and finally, he entered the apartment. See, and you didn't want to let me in. But I know we can always come to an agreement, Roger said. How are you feeling? Roger approached so close that Britt almost felt nauseous. She recoiled, pushing him away with force. It was normal before you showed up, but as soon as I saw you, everything went sour. Why did you come? Britt asked. Can I come in? Not hearing an answer, he walked into the kitchen. Don't you want to feed your husband breakfast? He asked, acting as if nothing had happened. Britt held back, choosing not to respond. She sat down on a chair, arms folded across her chest. Britt, I'm sorry. He lowered his head. I love you. I made a mistake. What are you saying? Should I pity you? Britt smirked. Roger's brazen eyes darted again, but he wasn't going to retreat. Britt, I understand it's only been a short time, but believe me, time heals. We're still young. We can fix everything. Right now, you're taking everything I say hastily, but I'm not your enemy. I deeply regret getting involved with Kelly. Honestly, I didn't know she was Lucas's adopted daughter. He never told me that. He treated her like any other employee. I found out much later. Britt felt the urge to kick him or scratch his face. It was disgusting to sit with him at the same table and listen to his ridiculous excuses. Now let's get to the point, Britt said. I don't want a divorce. I don't want to put your father in a difficult position. But you leave me no choice, he replied. Jumping up from his chair, he tried to grab Britt's hand, but she pulled away. You're bluffing. Don't even try. My father will destroy you. No reputable company will hire you after this. Before you unleash your filthy tomb. Think about that, Britt warned. Roger fell to his knees, embracing her legs and burying his face in her knees. Forgive me, Britt. Forgive me. Just don't kick me out. I won't be able to live a day without you. I'll jump out the window or throw myself under a car if you make me leave. My death will be on your conscience. Britt smirked. Well, let him do whatever he wants. Roger completely failed to understand that nothing could be fixed anymore. If you're going to jump out of the window, please go higher, so it's fatal right away. I don't know about Kelly, but I'm warning you now that I won't deal with a disabled person. After yesterday's incident, I don't need you even healthy. Britt retorted. You're so cruel, Roger said. He got up from his knees, adjusted his pants, and turned on the kettle in complete silence. He opened the fridge, took out a jar of jam. Britt, I'm telling you again, it's all in your hands. If you haven't forgotten, I work in the analytics department, and I'm well aware of all your father's schemes. My knowledge is enough to bring hard times to Lucas's company. Roger sighed heavily. He tried to cover her hands with his palm again, but Britt didn't allow it. Any of his touches caused disgust in her soul. Britt, don't look at me like I'm worthless. Do you think I don't understand that you're hurt and upset? But believe me, I'm only doing this so you don't make a mistake. I'm sure that with time, everything will be fine, and we'll be together again. Give me a chance to make amends for my mistake. What about pregnant Kelly? What will you do with her? Britt jabbed. Don't worry about it. I'll handle Kelly myself. If she refuses to have an abortion, I'll slip her a pill. One of my acquaintances already used such a pill. It's 100% effective, Roger said calmly, as if they were discussing something trivial, not a child. Roger, leave. There's no future for us. If my father feared you, he wouldn't have fired you. I'm sure he's got everything under control. Even if you spill dirt on Dad, nothing will change. I can't live with you. No. Brit shook her head. It's not for me. Better to live alone than with someone you don't trust. For a couple of seconds, they just stared at each other. But the next moment, Roger grabbed Brit's wrists, and when she began to resist, he abruptly pulled her off the chair and pressed her against the wall. Roger kissed her passionately. Resisting was futile. Roger was stronger, and the kiss became more demanding. At that moment, the doorbell rang. Are you expecting someone? Roger asked, not letting go of her. My mom should be bringing Zach. Brit lied. Let go. And get out. If you don't leave the apartment in 5 minutes, you'll never cross the threshold again. I promise you. Roger stepped aside, looking at Brit with a displeased gaze as if to make sure she wasn't joking. Ignoring his expression, Brit ran to the hallway and opened the door. Standing on the threshold was Tara, that same stunning blonde who 8 years ago boldly intruded into their family and took away their father. Good morning, Brit. May I come in? Tara asked cheerfully, holding a cake and smiling. What do you need? Brit asked coldly. Roger emerged into the hallway. Surprised, he hesitated. Tara, without waiting for an invitation, confidently stepped across the threshold and closed the door behind her. I wonder if my father knows that you've come to my house, Brit remarked. No, he doesn't, Tara replied, shooting Roger a scathing look. In that case, take your future son-in-law and get out of here. I don't want to talk to you, Brit said firmly. Brit attempted to open the door, but Tara quickly caught on and grabbed the door handle. Roger, I need to talk to Brit, preferably without witnesses. Could you leave us alone for just 20 minutes? Tara requested. Goodbye, Brit said bitterly. You can wait for your future mother-in-law outside. I'm sure she won't be long. Roger grabbed his jacket, and Tara opened the door for him. He finally crossed the threshold and left. While Tara closed the door behind him, Brit took the precaution of dialing her father's number and putting the phone in her pocket. Tara had spent the entire morning preparing herself for a difficult conversation with Brit. She hadn't slept all night. Anxiety about her own future, her daughter's future, mixed with worry, creating a stressful situation and preventing relaxation. Would you like some tea? Tara offered Brit the cake. We can do without a tea party. Speak your mind and leave, Brit retorted. Tara smiled, delicately placing the cake on the key shelf. Why are you so agitated? I've come to you in peace. Essentially, we're close people. Seeing Brit's surprised expression, she smiled again. The audacity of this woman knew no bounds. Her energy was infused with boldness and determination. Yes, Brit, I lived with your father for 8 years. And now, because of you, I have to participate in pointless family disputes just because Lucas's adopted daughter fell in love with your husband. It means you, Brit, didn't satisfy Roger well enough if he decided to seek love in my daughter's bed. Brit chose to remain silent. Each word felt like a blow to her temples. She stared at Tara with disgust, not intending to hide her revulsion. If you're done, goodbye, or rather, farewell, and try to forget this address. You're not welcome here, Brit said. Brit, you need to be wiser. Don't be angry with Roger, let alone Kelly. This is life. Let him go. They'll have a baby soon, Tara urged nervously. I'm not holding on to him. Take him. By the way, I forgot to give him his things. Brit gestured to the bags. All right, we've settled one question. It's good that you kicked out your husband, but now you need to talk to your father. Lucas kicked us out of the house, Tara sighed. And how is that my problem? Brit scoffed. Tara took her phone out of her purse, read the incoming message, smiled slightly, squinted, reread the text, then leisurely put the phone back into her bag. "All right, Brit. I'm also a mother, soon to be a grandmother. So I suggest you convince Lucas to marry me, and as a wedding gift, transfer the business to me. Just in case something happens to Lucas. I want to sleep peacefully in our apartment and not worry about my happy future." Tara continued. Seeing Brit's stunned face, she chuckled and went on. "At first, I wanted to arrange for you to be beaten up, but then I decided to show some mercy and leave you alone. You're a smart girl. I hope you can persuade your father to make the right choice. You are probably the only person Lucas listens to." A wave of primal fear ran down Brit's spine. She was about to take a step toward Tara and throw her out of the apartment. But Tara reached out her hand. "Don't rush to conclusions. Call your mom. She's so absent-minded. First, she missed her husband, and now she's running around the supermarket looking for her grandson. You can call her and warn her not to worry. If you want Zach to be safe, I advise you not to go to the police. Behave yourself, and nothing will happen to the child. Consult with your dad. Tell him I'm waiting for his call and ready to talk. But I warn you, we'll play by my rules from now on." With trembling hands, Brit took her phone out of her pocket. Dismissing her father's call, she dialed her mom's number. "Brit, I don't know what to do. I'm running around the supermarket looking for Zach. I barely turned around, and this little rascal disappeared somewhere." Her mom's voice came breathlessly through the phone. While Brit was talking to her mom, she didn't notice Tara leaving the apartment. She needed to pull herself together and not fall into hysteria. Her hands, damp with sweat, clung to the phone. Her father's number lit up on the screen. "Dad, your Tara kidnapped Zach," she shouted. "I know. I heard everything." "Brit, give Tara the phone," he replied. "She's not here. While I was talking to Mom, she managed to leave." "Brit, get a grip. If a single hair falls from my grandson's head because of that scumbag, there will be nothing left of her. I'm on my way to the store now. I've already called your mom. She's contacted the supermarket administration. They're tracking Zach's movements on the cameras. Let's hope Tara is just bluffing. Stay home. Try not to occupy the phone for too long. As soon as the situation clears up, I'll call you immediately." Lucas declined the call. Again, the trembling that couldn't be suppressed. With wide eyes, Brit stared at one spot until her father's call rang again. "Brit, Zach really was kidnapped. Some guy took him out of the store. He put him in a car with dirty license plates and drove off in an unknown direction. We haven't informed the police yet. Your mom and I are on our way to Tara's. There's a neighbor on duty in Mom's apartment. Please stay home. Who knows what the kidnappers have in mind? Maybe they just want to scare us and will bring the child home. We can't rule out that possibility either." Wide-eyed, Brit pressed her palm to her lips. Her gaze locked on the framed photo of her son. Tears involuntarily streamed down her cheeks. "I should have recorded that scoundrel instead of calling Dad," Brit said. She dialed Roger's phone number. "You scoundrel. Villain. I hate you. It's all because of you. Go to hell with your Kelly." She began to scream. Roger asked her to explain what happened. Sobbing choked her and made it difficult for her to speak. "Your new mother-in-law kidnapped Zach. If anything happens to my child, I'll buy a gun and empty the whole magazine into you. Scoundrel. Go to Kelly's. If the child isn't home in an hour, you're definitely done for. And also, if Kelly demands an official relationship with you in exchange for our son, don't refuse. I hate you so much. It's all because of you. When we divorced, I shouldn't have let our daughter near you. I knew perfectly well what your mistress was like. I didn't want to disappoint you and tell you how she came to me then and tried to threaten me," Laura said, wiping away tears. "Why didn't you ever tell me about it?" Trying not to get distracted from driving, Lucas murmured barely audibly, watching as his ex-wife literally dialed Tara's phone number every 3 minutes. but hearing only the number you are calling is currently not available on the line because I couldn't bear to see you. Scoundrel. If anything happens to Zach, I'll curse you completely. You won't come near our daughter or grandson. Enough. You destroyed your family, ruined your daughter's family, and now you've reached your grandson. Parking the car near the old building, Lucas jumped out of the car first. Laura rushed after him. Without waiting for the elevator, skipping over 2 steps, they reached the 4th floor in a matter of seconds. Nobody opened the doors for a long time. Lucas started knocking, shouting loudly for Tara to let them into the apartment. Then he started cursing, threatening to break down the door. Neighbors came out of their apartments onto the landing. What's all the yelling about? Tara asked irritably, swinging the door open, giving Laura a disdainful glance. Where's Zach? Lucas stormed into the apartment, grabbing Tara by the throat. Lucas, let her go. Let her tell us where our grandson is first. Then do whatever you want with her. Lucas released his grip. Tara began to cough. Lucas grabbed her by the collar, dragged her into the room, and threw her onto the couch. If you don't answer my question right now, I'll break your arm first, and then chop it off. Laura, go to the kitchen. There should be a small axe in the bottom right drawer. Laura rushed to the kitchen, pulled out the first drawer she saw, grabbed the axe, and brought it to the room. Lucas seized the axe, swung it with all his might. Tara tried to wrench her arm out of his strong grip, but Lucas pressed her down. I'm asking for the last time. I have nothing to lose. His ferocious face boded ill. If you lay a finger on me, you'll never see your grandson again. Tara screamed. You'll bleed until you tell me where my grandson is. Another swing of the axe. Laura closed her eyes. She had never seen Lucas like this. His face was fierce, his eyes furious. He confidently swung the axe again. There was a deafening scream from Tara, followed by a cry. Zach is with the neighbor. He's in apartment 32. Lucas lowered the axe, pulled out some tape from his pocket. He didn't even understand why he had taken it. He taped Tara's mouth shut, and together with Laura, they bound her hands and feet. Pray. If you lied, I'll definitely chop off all your limbs, Lucas said. Someone knocked on the door. Laura cautiously looked through the peephole. It's Roger. What if he's with them? She whispered quietly. Open it, Lucas commanded. Without a word, Roger and Laura went down to the 3rd floor and knocked on apartment 32. The door was opened by a young guy. Behind him stood Kelly. Lucas pushed the young man aside and entered the apartment. Zach ran out to meet him. Grandpa, Grandma, where have you been? Kelly bought me a big toy car. Let's go. I'll show you. Zach grabbed his grandmother's hand and dragged her into the room. Laura picked him up and kissed her grandson. Zach, ignoring his grandmother's tears, enthusiastically talked about his new friend. Lucas grabbed Kelly by the collar and dragged her into her apartment. The young man tried to defend her, but Laura stood in his way and explained what awaited them for kidnapping a child. You'll answer for everything. You wanted to take over the company. Laura, call the police. Let them sort it out. This trio will spend about 15 years behind bars for kidnapping a child. I won't rest until I put them there, Lucas shouted, dragging Kelly into the apartment. He threw her on the floor. You were lucky the child wasn't harmed, Lucas sneered contemptuously. Squatting down, grabbing Kelly by the chin, Laura took her grandson into the kitchen and left with him. Zach told his story about playing hide and seek, how he hid behind the chair, and they couldn't find him. Laura recorded a video of her grandson and sent it to Britt. Britt immediately called back. While they were talking, Roger, with Lucas' permission, released Tara. As soon as her mouth was untaped, Tara struggled to suppress the lump in her throat. For the first time, Lucas struck her. Hatred gleamed in his eyes, urging her to flee. We didn't do anything to the child. We just wanted to scare you a little. We could have reached an agreement peacefully. Why did you have to make this circus? Tara sighed heavily. "Shut your mouth." Lucas still couldn't shake off the shock. He grabbed her by the throat again. Kelly got scared and rushed to defend her mother. Without releasing Tara, Lucas pushed Kelly away. She lost her balance, but Roger caught her in time and casually threw her onto the couch. "Roger, why are you standing there? Stand up for Mom. Can't you see he's going to strangle her?" Kelly screamed. "He'll do the right thing," Roger said. "If you interfere with my son again, I'll strangle you myself." He slapped Kelly. She froze for a moment in surprise, then spat in his face. Roger wanted to slap her again, but Zach ran into the room, followed by Laura. "I called the police. They said they'll be here within an hour. Let them calm down a bit before the police arrive." Britt arrived at Kelly's house 40 minutes later. She looked around, but there was no police car in sight. Laura opened the door, and Zach darted out into the hallway. It was still hard to believe that her son was alive, well, and happily running around the apartment. Holding back tears, she scooped Zach up into her arms. "Oh, we have visitors." And here I thought the police had arrived. I was ready to give a detailed account of how two healthy men were beating up two fragile women, Kelly said, her voice dripping with sarcasm, and Britt grimaced slightly and hugged Zach closer to her chest. "Shut up," Lucas snapped, raising a hand towards Kelly. "Let's see how chatty you'll be when the police arrive," Kelly whispered. "Britt, let's not fight. Why did you call the police?" "I just wanted to get to know your son better. I was about to tell him that he'll soon have a little brother or sister, but I didn't get the chance. Your mother barged into my classmate's apartment like a fury, and what your dad did is simply shameful. Lucas urgently needs to see a psychologist and get his nerves sorted out. He has no control over himself whatsoever." Britt looked at Roger with a barely concealed smirk. He sat there, red-faced, barely able to contain himself. "What are you trying to achieve? I'm telling you straight away, I don't need your child. I have no intention of tying my life to yours. Look at yourself. Who needs you?" Roger retorted as Kelly attempted to approach him, but Roger casually pushed her away. The conversation was interrupted by a knock at the front door. Laura opened it, with Zach by her side. Police officers entered the apartment. Laura began recounting how she had lost her grandson at the supermarket. Kelly chimed in, wearing a smile as she explained that she wanted to teach the grandmother a lesson for neglecting her grandson while she was busy looking at bacon. After listening to everyone present, the police invited Gary, the neighbor, to speak. As soon as Zach saw him, he climbed onto Gary's lap. Gary began telling how he and Kelly had entered the store, saw Zach, and Kelly went to look for the grandmother while asking him to wait with the child. They couldn't find the grandmother, so they decided to take Zach home. "I can't listen to this nonsense anymore." Lucas couldn't contain himself. This was a genuine abduction. "I demand these three be detained pending further investigation. Can't you see their story is fake? A normal, sane person would have gone to the store's management, not taken the child." "Lucas, stop making things up. Nobody was planning to steal your grandson. You're just retaliating against my daughter because she got pregnant by your son-in-law." Tara frowned. The police officers were shocked by what was happening. They shook their heads, asking for silence. Laura, clutching her heart, begged for the most severe punishment for the dangerous criminals. Tara shouted that she had spent 8 years with Lucas and had the right to take her grandson for the weekend. Lucas barely restrained himself from attacking Tara again. Roger hurled insults at Kelly. Kelly and Tara tried to flirt with the police officers. Based on the statement, they, along with Gary, were detained and taken to the station for further investigation. After the police took Tara and her accomplices away, the mood immediately lifted. Now, they just needed to prove that Kelly and Tara had indeed intended to abduct Zach. Britt regretted not recording her conversation with Tara on her phone, but she found solace in the fact that there were security cameras in the building, and the store management would confirm that they had been searching for the child and broadcasting announcements. Roger's Monday morning began with a headache. He didn't want to think about how he spent the weekend. To fall asleep, he had to take tranquilizer pills. He couldn't wrap his head around how he would continue living. Roger didn't feel like going to work. His gut feeling told him there was nothing good waiting for him. However, a small hope lingered in his heart that Lucas would take pity on him and let him work at least for another 2 weeks. A lot could happen in 2 weeks. As soon as he entered his office, his secretary invited him to see Lucas. "You are still here. I thought you'd have the sense to go straight to HR and submit your resignation." Lucas jabbed. "Lucas, don't forget, I'm the sole breadwinner in the family," Roger replied. For some reason, he felt that Britt would reconsider and realize it wasn't worth ruining their family over Kelly. Besides, he had made it clear to everyone that Kelly meant nothing to him. But Zach needed a father. "You're not planning to be a bum, are you? Get a job at another company. You can go collect your things right now. I'm firing you without any notice." Lucas responded. "Wait, Lucas. Maybe Britt and I can reconcile. I'm not like you. I'm not backing down. You're the one who traded your wife for a mistress. But I'm not that stupid. I won't trade my Britt for anyone," Roger retorted, smirking. Lucas handed him a blank piece of paper. "Write your resignation letter. To save your precious time, I'll sign it right away. I'll make sure your settlement is transferred to you after lunch." After writing his resignation letter, Roger left the office. He received a message from Britt on his phone. He opened it with a pounding heart. "Soon you'll be free. I've filed for divorce. Let me know where I can send your things. They annoy me. Just don't come yourself. I don't want to see you." A week passed. Tonight, Britt allowed Roger to come over. He had been calling and sending tearful messages all week, begging to see his son. Britt understood that despite her husband's lack of love for her, he wasn't the worst father, and she had no right to deny Zach the chance to see his dad. On Tuesday, Britt was summoned to the investigator. After telling the investigator about her conversation with Tara, Britt inquired about the progress of the investigation. It turned out that Tara had changed her testimony and taken all the blame upon herself. She claimed she had come to talk to her boyfriend's daughter, asking Britt to put in a good word for her. As she was about to leave, she received a message from her daughter. Kelly wrote that she had seen Zach in the store. The child was wandering around the supermarket without any supervision. Tara quickly figured out what was going on. She lied to her daughter, saying that Britt had asked her to take the child because Grandma wasn't feeling well. Gary happened to be near Kelly by chance. Tara insisted she hadn't intended to hide anything. She immediately told Britt where to find Zach. She couldn't believe Lucas would blow the situation out of proportion like that. If they had really wanted to kidnap the child, they wouldn't have told anyone about it. Roger didn't mention Kelly in his messages, but the investigator warned Britt that Kelly and Gary might be released soon. Tara kept insisting her daughter was pregnant and innocent. At the appointed time, the doorbell rang. Opening the door, Britt saw Roger. Her gaze immediately fell on his unshaven face and guilty eyes, which he didn't know where to hide. He had changed a lot during this time. He used to be so confident, unafraid, even flirtatious in front of his wife. But now he stood before Britt as a completely different person. She felt the urge to lash out at him, but Zach saved the situation. The child was overjoyed to see his father. "Hi, Buddy." Roger hugged his son tightly to his chest. Seeing his son embrace his father and kiss his cheek, Britt almost teared up. Just recently, they had been a close-knit and happy family. Today, all that remained were memories to cherish. "Come on. Why are you standing at the doorstep? Since when did you become so shy? You can go to Zach's room with him. He's been waiting for you all day, asking when Daddy will come," Britt said. With a scoff, Britt headed to the kitchen. Roger followed her, with a contented Zach perched on his shoulders. Inside, Everything turned upside down again. Why did she allow Roger to meet with their son? Now, for the sake of her son, she would have to act like a gracious host and endure his presence. How are you? Are you still angry with me? Roger continued without waiting for an answer. Brit, you have no idea the hell I'm living in right now. I want to beg for your forgiveness. Maybe not now or tomorrow, but I still hope for your understanding. Please, don't repeat your mother's mistakes. Give me one last chance. Don't waste your time. Get on with your life. By the way, how's Kelly? She replied. These days, she hadn't spoken with her father. Usually, he always updated her on how things were progressing. But 3 days ago, he had to leave on an urgent business trip. Kelly and Gary were released, Roger said dryly, taking his son off his shoulders and placing him in a high chair. What? I didn't know that. And Tara, it was terribly upsetting and painful to hear about it. Everyone knew that Kelly had been actively involved in the kidnapping. If Tara decided to take the blame, then she must have had very strong reasons. Tara was kept in custody. She had some savings. Now Kelly is looking for a lawyer for her. Roger lowered his gaze. Do you live with Kelly? Brit unexpectedly asked. No, of course not. I'm not going to live with her. I finally rented an apartment. I'll pick up my things from you today. Sorry for the temporary inconvenience with my bags. It was very difficult for Brit to talk to Roger. His face displayed all shades of genuine resentment, as if he had been unfairly punished. How do you know about Kelly? Oh, right. I completely forgot. She's expecting your child, Brit remarked. When she was released, she called me right away and asked me to come. She said it was about our child together. I hoped she would ask for money for an abortion. Roger frowned. I went there, and they were celebrating their release with Gary. There was wine on the table, some kind of strange snacks. Kelly was already drunk. She started accusing me of slapping her. Then she remembered that I didn't defend her mother. I hoped that if she was drinking wine, she definitely wouldn't plan to give birth. I asked her when she was going to the clinic, hinted that she shouldn't delay it. She started laughing, and then said she wouldn't have an abortion, and that deciding to relax and have a drink was nothing to worry about. Can you imagine who she'll give birth to? She started screaming for me to bring my things to her place urgently because she can't live alone. In short, today I bought a pill. Tomorrow I'll visit her and slip her this damn pill, and I'll finally be able to sleep peacefully. Then Kelly will thank me. Someone like her shouldn't be giving birth. Silence hung in the kitchen. Roger barely uttered, "Do you judge me? If you do that, I won't judge you. I'll despise you." Brit replied, "Why do you involve me in your vile plans? Don't you understand that your actions are simply disgusting? You and Kelly make a fine pair. One kidnaps children, and the other, horrible. How far you've fallen. It's a good thing we're getting divorced soon. I shared it with you because you're the closest and dearest person to me. Think about it yourself. Why breed monsters? Or do you think Kelly is capable of giving birth to a normal child? She won't be able to tie me to her. I don't change my decisions. Fine. You'll answer to your conscience. And now leave. I don't want to see you. I regret allowing you to meet with our son. Your visits only bring distress. I can't forbid them, of course, but try not to come until the divorce is finalized." Hi. All day, Roger debated whether to go to Kelly's or not. Today was his first day at his new job. He hoped Lucas would reconsider and call him back, but it didn't happen. "Hi. Where are your bags?" Kelly asked, surprised, as she opened the door. Roger had forgotten that he had promised to move in with her along with his belongings. "They're in the car. I'll bring them in later. I brought you some strawberries with cream and a cake." His hands were shaking from nervous tension. Roger had hardly slept all night. His wife's hurtful words kept replaying in his mind. Every time he closed his eyes, Brit's stunned face appeared before him. There was even a moment when he wanted to abandon his plan, but ultimately common sense prevailed. Roger stepped into the kitchen. When he saw Gary sitting at the table, he paused for a moment. Gary seemed to be spending more and more time at Kelly's apartment lately. Or maybe he wasn't leaving at all. "Hey." Roger extended his hand. Gary responded to the greeting and took another glass from the cabinet. Only now did Roger notice a bottle of red wine and a cheese platter on the table. "Are you still celebrating your release? Kelly, haven't you forgotten that pregnant women shouldn't drink?" Roger tried to speak calmly, but inside, anger was coiling up into one huge knot. Were they drinking alcohol for days on end? "Everything's under control," Kelly replied. Only now did Roger notice Kelly's speech starting to slur again. "I hired a lawyer for my mom today, and Gary just came over after work," Kelly explained. "I see," Roger said and turned to Gary. "Gary, could you leave Kelly and me alone? We need to talk, preferably without any witnesses." "No," Kelly answered instead of him. "Gary isn't going anywhere. And if you're hoping to slip me those pills to induce a miscarriage, you're out of luck. Your Brit called me last night and spilled everything." Kelly smirked, glancing at Roger's bewildered face, while Gary silently clenched his fists. "Think before you speak. What does Brit have to do with this?" Roger asked, sincerely hoping that Kelly was just messing with him. "I'm saying what I mean. And what are you thinking you're doing? If we find those pills on you, I'll file a police report." Kelly fetched some tape from the drawer and handed it to Gary. "Are you giving them up or not?" Roger glanced sideways at Gary. This couple had prepared well for his arrival. "Kelly, I'm tired of arguing with you. Let's talk normally. A child should be wanted by both parents. But what do we have here? I've told you many times that I don't want this child. Look at yourself. Instead of cleaning up the apartment, you're sitting at the table drinking wine. What children are we talking about? If you don't want to take the pill, it's not too late to have an abortion. I'll cover all the expenses." Kelly reached out her hand. "Give me the pill. I'll feel much better having it." Roger pulled the pill out of his side pocket and handed it to Kelly. "You're a fool. I'm trying for your sake. Where will you bring up the child?" "Here, in this apartment, so the baby can suffocate from the stench and dirt." Roger glanced around the kitchen. "Gary, did you record his monologue?" Gary turned off his phone and shook his head. "Well done. I always knew I could rely on you." Roger shook his head with a wry smile and closed his eyes. "Roger, you've said enough here," Kelly said, taking Gary's phone and playing back the video. Roger couldn't tear his eyes away from the screen, watching himself from the outside. "If you don't want me to file a police report, you only have one way out. Let's get back at Lucas. You bragged to me before that you had dirt on him. I won't rest until I get back at him. He has to pay for everything." Roger's eyes widened. He looked at Kelly, confused, not fully understanding what she wanted from him. "I won't do that. Think about it. Where's Lucas? And where are we? If you want trouble again, you can go ahead. But I'm not going to get involved with Lucas, especially since he's my wife's father. And I'm not divorcing Brit." "What if I make you an offer you can't refuse?" Kelly said, smirking. "Stop speaking in riddles. Just tell me what you've come up with this time," Roger said. He smirked again, marveling at the audacity of the woman he had recently considered intelligent and beautiful. And today, looking at Kelly's drunken face, he couldn't understand what had once attracted him to her. "I'll only have an abortion if you help me get back at Lucas. But if you refuse, I'll give birth and give the child to you. Do as you wish," Kelly said. "I have the impression that you're leading me on. Besides the test you could have found near the trash can, I haven't seen any other evidence," Roger replied, not taking his eyes off her surprised face. "Darling, can you at least be yourself now and not pretend that I'm indifferent to you? During the time we've been together, I've studied you well and see that you can't admit obvious things. You should have left your Brit long ago and come to me. While your wife knew nothing, you were texting, arranging meetings. And now, what's changed? I'll never believe that love can fade so quickly." Kelly said. Who asked you to spill everything? You've only made things worse for everyone. Roger grumbled discontentedly. Suddenly, Kelly's phone rang. Hello. Kelly answered without even looking at the screen. Oh, really? Thanks for the good news. We should meet, have a drink together sometime. Thanks again. Ending the call, Kelly smiled. Monica just called me. She said Lucas returned from his business trip today. He came to work after lunch, but by evening, he felt unwell, and they took him to the hospital. She was talking to his secretary, who said the boss is currently in intensive care. Heart attack. Kelly smirked. There was so much venom in her voice that it was hard to believe they had lived with Lucas under the same roof for 8 years. She said something else, but Roger wasn't listening anymore. The thought immediately flashed through his mind. He must call and support Britt, offer her his help, and perhaps their shared grief will unite them. So, Gary, can you find someone who can easily open Lucas's apartment for me? Kelly said. I urgently need to get some of my personal belongings. I didn't think Lucas would end up in the hospital. I only took the essentials with me. I see you can't live without adventures. Roger sneered. What's the problem? I'm actually registered there. I have the right to be in the apartment, and no one can reproach me for it. There's a safe in the apartment. I'm sure I can easily guess the code. It's definitely going to be a combination of numbers related to his daughter's or grandson's birthday. So, Roger, if you want to live peacefully, write down the birth dates on a piece of paper. And just in case, write down the birth date of your mother-in-law. I think he still hasn't forgotten his Laura. Roger widened his eyes in disbelief. I think it's time for you to be sent to a psychiatric hospital. I'm not going to write anything for you. And I warn you, I'm not going to cover for anyone. Roger retorted. And if I take the pill you brought right now? Kelly asked, a sly smile playing on her lips. Roger hesitated slightly, looking at Kelly. I agree. Go ahead and take it. Kelly took out the pill, poured some water into a glass, and without blinking, swallowed the pill and washed it down. Now it's your turn, she said to Roger. To put my mind at ease, let's wait for 30 minutes. Otherwise, I'll write, and you'll just put 2 fingers in your mouth and then start blackmailing me again. I don't want to take any risks, Roger said. A shiver ran down his spine at the mere thought of what would happen if Britt found out that he was involved in the burglary of her father's apartment with Kelly. He didn't want to get involved in this adventure, but there was no other choice. And if the numbers don't work? Roger asked, smirking. I'll buy the exact same safe. Take the old one and put the new one in its place. I'm sure there's a lot of interesting stuff in the safe, Kelly replied. After giving Kelly the information she was interested in, Roger stood up, no longer wanting to talk to them. He glanced at Gary. What's your interest? Why do you keep helping her? Aren't you tired of living quietly? He asked. Furrowing his brow, Gary shrugged. I owe Kelly. Back in 10th grade, we went on a hike. While swimming in the lake, I got caught in a whirlpool. If Kelly hadn't seen and rushed to rescue me, I would have drowned for sure, Gary replied. Since then, we've been friends. Good luck to you. I hope your adventure is worth it. Just one request. Don't involve me anymore. Let's pretend I didn't hear anything, and you didn't see me. Agreed, Roger said. When I become rich, you'll come running to me yourself, Kelly said and waved her hand. Roger hurried out onto the street. He tried to convince himself that he no longer needed to worry about Kelly's pregnancy. As for Lucas, well, he brought it upon himself. As Kelly had suspected, Lucas had set the safe code to his grandson's birthday. Opening the safe, Kelly was pleasantly surprised to find money and 2 folders of documents inside. Packing everything into her bag, Kelly closed the safe. She calmly worked through the apartment once more, tossing a couple of bottles of expensive wine into her bag, grabbing a few items of clothing, and then left. Gary was waiting for her in his car in the neighboring yard. Let's go, Kelly commanded as she hopped into the front seat. I opened the safe, got the money and documents, locked up the apartment. There's a set of spare keys in the cabinet. Kelly said while Gary adjusted the steering wheel. We'll need to visit the hospital, check on how Lucas is doing, and just in case, swing by the church. I want to pray for his peace. If he doesn't recover, it'll make things easier for everyone. No man, no problem. Gary flinched at her words. He turned his head, looking at Kelly intently, as if trying to find a catch in her words. Where was that kind-hearted girl who jumped to save him without hesitation, even though she could have perished herself? Promise me you won't do anything illegal again, Gary demanded coldly. I don't need anything else. I just took what's mine. If Lucas doesn't understand the easy way, he'll have to learn the hard way. Next time, he'll know better than to mess with me and Mom, Kelly replied cheerfully. But in the next second, her face contorted in unbearable pain in her lower abdomen. Kelly, what's wrong? Are you okay? Kelly, Gary shouted. No, I'm fine. It'll pass. I'm already feeling a bit better, she barely managed to say. Don't worry. Let's go home. I'll rest for a couple of days and be good as new. Maybe we should go to the hospital. You look pale, Gary suggested. If anything happened to Kelly, he'd never forgive himself. After all, he had proposed to her, suggested leaving her Roger, and the child wasn't a problem. He would have adopted him. Which hospital? Gary, let's just go home, Kelly replied after catching her breath. Nothing to worry about now that she had the money. The main thing was to restore her shaken health first, then get her mom released. And when her mom was free, they would figure out how to move forward together. If you feel unwell, call me anytime, Gary insisted. Pulling into the yard, Gary searched for a parking spot. After turning off the car, he looked at Kelly again. She rolled her eyes in pain, opened her mouth, and took a deep breath. Kelly, let's call an ambulance. I can't watch you suffer like this, Gary insisted once more. Just take the bag and walk me to the apartment. I'll handle the rest, Kelly grumbled reluctantly. All right, Gary replied. I hope you know what you're doing. Sitting in the doctor's office, Laura felt out of place. If it weren't for Britt, she would never have gone to the hospital to see Lucas. Why should she care about him anyway? Lucas had emergency surgery. They put in a stent, opened up an artery. Right now, he's in the ICU. Once he stabilizes, they'll move him to a regular ward, the doctor said. How is he? She asked again, glancing at the time absent-mindedly. We've done all we can. Now it's just a matter of praying and hoping Lucas's health holds up, the doctor replied, jotting down a phone number on a piece of paper. This is my number. Feel free to call tomorrow. Thank you. I'll definitely call. I hope Lucas gets better. Laura wiped away a tear. Always hope for the best, the doctor said, handing Laura the paper. As soon as Laura left the office, she dialed Britt's number. Britt, Lucas had surgery. The doctor says he came through it okay. So relax. The doctor gave me his number. We'll call him for updates. The only thing I thought of is that we need to get into his apartment and gather the necessary things for the hospital. His secretary called me earlier, said the keys to the apartment, car, and garage are in her safe. I'll go see her tomorrow. Get the keys, go to the apartment, and gather what we need for the hospital, Britt said. Britt, I thought you were at the hospital. Someone from my old job called and said Lucas was taken to the hospital with a heart attack. Roger hoped to see his wife in tears, but seeing no tears on her face, he was greatly surprised. Why did you come? I'm already feeling terrible, she grumbled, but eventually stepped aside and let Roger into the apartment. Zach immediately jumped into his father's arms. Why? Did you think I'd abandon you in such a tough moment? If you want, go to the hospital, and I'll stay with our son, Roger said, embracing Zach. Mama went to the hospital. Right now, Dad is in the ICU. They're not letting anyone in. Britt, why did you warn Kelly about the pills? I never expected such a betrayal from you, Roger said, offended. And you wanted me to keep quiet. God forbid something happens to your Kelly. I don't want to live with that sin, Britt replied. A heavy silence fell in the room. Britt had no intention of justifying herself to this scoundrel. At that moment, his phone rang. Seeing Kelly's number, Roger glanced at Britt and deliberately declined the call. But Kelly called again. What now? Roger answered. Roger, I'm feeling unwell. Please come over. I'm scared. I'm shaking all over. Kelly barely managed to speak. Are you drunk again? If you're feeling unwell, call an ambulance. What do I have to do with this? Roger replied. When the line went dead with short beeps, Roger realized that Kelly had lost it and hung up. Why is she feeling unwell? Did you make her take the pill after all? Britt asked, squinting. Britt, calm down. Kelly's just acting up, thinking I'll fall for her silly tricks. I gave her the pill as a keepsake. She was planning to flush it down the toilet. What she did with it, I don't know and don't care. Don't clutter your mind with nonsense. Right now, we need to pray for your father's health, not worry about people who drove Lucas to a heart attack. Roger calmly replied. 3 days passed. By 10 in the morning, Britt arrived at the hospital and went straight to her father's attending physician. She had been in constant contact with Cobbin, and last night he informed her that Lucas was doing much better and would be transferred to a regular ward tomorrow morning. Britt stopped by the office, picked up the keys to the apartment from the secretary, then went to Lucas's place and gathered the necessary things. Dad. Lucas lay on the bed, reading messages on his phone. Britt, thank you for not abandoning this old man. A happy smile appeared on his pale face. Britt sat on the edge of the bed, adjusted the blanket, gently hugged and kissed him on the cheek. You look not bad at all. When I was coming here, I was afraid to see a feeble old man. But you're still strong, she exclaimed. Don't mock me. Lucas smiled again. I can't wait to go home. Dad. No. Cobbin warned me that you'll be in the hospital for at least 10 days. Then you'll have to take necessary tests, get a CT scan, and only then will they decide if you can go home. And you'll have a long rehabilitation afterward, Britt said sternly, taking his hands in hers. Here we go. Lucas grumbled discontentedly. Britt, does your husband even help you? How are you and Zach managing? If you need money, you can take it from my safe. You have the keys to the apartment and the code. Britt cut him off. Dad, you are not thinking straight. I have money. As soon as Roger got his settlement, he transferred a good amount to me. So don't worry. Britt reassured him. All right, Lucas said. And also, Britt continued, Mom and I discussed it, and I wanted to take you to my place after you discharged. But Mom decided to take you to her apartment for the time being. How do you feel about that? Britt didn't tell her father what it took to persuade her mother. At first, her mother was strongly against it. I'm fine with that, Lucas said uncertainly, still not believing what was happening. That's good. We've solved one problem. I'll stay with you until noon today, and then Mom will come to you after lunch and bring your grandson, Britt said. Thanks. Britt, I have one more request for you. I don't want to burden you, but tomorrow you'll need to go to my apartment, get the money from the safe, and take it to the head accountant. I'll arrange for someone to accompany you. With a heavy sigh, Lucas waited anxiously for Britt's response. The money was needed yesterday, but who knew he would end up in the hospital? It was fortunate that his new deputy had arranged a payment extension with the supplier. Okay, Dad, Britt replied calmly, unaware that there had been no money in the safe for a long time. After hanging up with Gary, Kelly tossed the phone aside and curled up in pain. The bleeding hadn't stopped for 3 days. Sometimes it came with chills, nausea, and today she felt like she had a high fever, barely able to move around the apartment. Kelly dialed Roger's number again, but as usual, he didn't answer. She sent him a text message, urging him to call urgently. Roger read her message but once again ignored her plea. Gary checked on her health every day, yet this jerk didn't even answer her calls. Today she had to meet with the lawyer, but due to her poor health, she postponed the meeting to another day. As if on impulse, she dialed Roger's number again, and oh, miracle, he picked up. "I told you to forget about me. Isn't it clear that I don't want to see or hear from you?" Roger snapped. To cheer herself up a bit, Kelly poured herself a glass of wine. After taking a few sips, she said, "I'm not feeling well. I want you to take me to the doctor. I can't manage without your help, sweetheart. Unlike you, I actually work. I have a child, and my wife is on maternity leave. No one else but me can feed them, that's one thing. Secondly, because of you, I don't have a car now. I left it with my wife. So figure it out without me. Take a taxi. I can buy you a car. No problem. Choose a car. Come to me, and I'll give you the necessary amount," Kelly offered. There was silence on the line. First, this girl did everything to make him hate her, and now she wanted to buy him off. "Did you rob Britt's father? Where did you get this money from?" Roger asked. "What does it matter where I got the money? I want to give a gift to my beloved man. If you're against it, then the conversation is over," Kelly replied. Roger remained silent for a while. Walking was already tiresome, and taking the bus was even worse. Maybe he could adapt to the circumstances and try to enjoy life a little. "And then you'll pin a robbery on me, in which I didn't participate. By the way, did Gary help you?" Roger questioned. "No. Gary just found someone who picked the lock. I was alone in the apartment. I've lived there for 8 years, so don't worry. No one will accuse you of a crime you didn't commit. Especially since Lucas is in the hospital now, and it's not yet known if he'll survive or not. I'll give you the money for the car just like that. Don't be foolish, Roger. File for divorce. Now we'll buy you a car. Do everything possible to free my mom, and then we'll get ourselves an apartment. If we don't have enough money, we'll get a mortgage, and we'll leave this apartment to Mom," Kelly explained. Roger looked out the window and drowned in his thoughts. How tired he was of jumping through hoops for everyone. "Okay, you've persuaded me. Get the money ready. During lunch break, I'll go pick out a car. I'll leave work early. Come to you. Take the money. Buy the car. And either tomorrow or the day after, I'll take you to the doctor." Roger agreed. Hanging up the phone, Kelly smiled for the first time in these days, but literally the next minute, she curled up in pain again. Holding her breath, she clasped her abdomen with her hands. It's nothing. Soon everything would be fine with her. Although they say you can't buy health with money, it's all nonsense. You can buy everything with money, including health. Strange. Where is the money? Opening the safe, Britt couldn't figure out what was going on. Just a few hours ago, her concern was about her son. Zach had thrown a tantrum in the morning, didn't want to stay with his grandmother, didn't want to let her go, clinging to her skirt and crying. But now Britt didn't know how to explain to her father that there was no money in the safe. What if he made a mistake? And if not? Britt closed the safe, went outside, and got into the car. Biting her lip, she looked at her companions with guilty eyes. Her father's deputy and the head of security were silently watching her every move. "Britt, are you okay?" the deputy asked. "No money. The safe is empty. I don't know how to tell my father about this. He shouldn't worry." Britt stuttered in response. "Okay, calm down. No one knows about this, but when Lucas changed the locks in the apartment, on the same day, he installed a camera in his office. We can open his laptop and watch the recording for the past few days," the head of security suggested, looking expectantly at Britt's stunned face. The keys were only with her. Everyone awaited her response. With frozen fingers, Britt gripped the handle on the passenger door. How would her father react to the fact that strangers would intrude into his personal life without his consent? But in this situation, she saw no other way out. "Let's go," she said firmly. She stepped out of the car and headed towards the entrance. The men followed her. "Brit, do you know where Kelly lives?" the head of security asked, watching as Kelly casually stuffed bundles of money into her bag. Seeing Brit confidently nod, he continued, "Then let's not waste time and go straight to her. Let's not say anything to Lucas for now. First, we'll talk to Kelly, and then we'll decide what to do next." "Who's there?" Kelly asked quietly. "Open up. It's the police." The head of security shouted loudly. "I didn't call the police." "Kelly, open up. It's Brit, Lucas's daughter." Hearing the voice of the person she had hated all her life, Kelly shuddered. "I won't open. Leave. Otherwise, I'll call the police," she said. "Kelly, Lucas' office has surveillance cameras. If you call the police now, you'll dig your own grave and end up behind bars. Open the door," Brit yelled. Kelly opened the door. Barely able to move her legs, she walked into the living room and sank onto the couch. At that moment, she didn't care what would happen to her, to the money, or to Roger. She didn't even care about her own mother. "Where's the money?" Kelly closed her eyes, froze in place, swallowed the lump in her throat. She didn't intend to shed tears over trivial matters, but seeing Brit's disdainful face, she barely held back from breaking down. She glanced at the bag lying casually next to the couch. With a convulsive sigh, she closed her eyes. She hardly felt the pain anymore, only weakness and chills from the fever. Following her gaze, the head of security picked up the bag, unzipped it, and counted the bundles. After ensuring that the money and folders with documents were intact, he turned to Brit. "What should we do with her? Should we immediately hand her over to the police or consult with Lucas first?" "I don't know," Brit shrugged. "Maybe we should call an ambulance for her first. She's burning up and can barely talk." Brit felt ashamed of herself for not feeling an ounce of pity or sympathy for Kelly, even after seeing her condition. "Call an ambulance for me. I really feel terrible. A few days ago, I took a Chinese pill called Baby Kaput. Every morning I woke up hoping to feel better, but I only got worse," Kelly said barely audibly, tears streaming down her face. "I wanted to punish Lucas, to take what rightfully belongs to me and my mom. He treated us unfairly. I want to live like his daughter too, without needing anything." Wiping away her tears, Kelly murmured almost inaudibly. Brit bitterly smiled. If Kelly weren't in this state, she would have told her everything. How she cried when Dad packed his things. How she accidentally saw Dad with his new family at the mall, and then cried for 2 days. Taking out her phone from her pocket, Brit called for an ambulance. Nobody planned to wait for the doctors. Taking the bag, all three headed for the exit. When the doorbell rang, they stopped abruptly, looked at each other in surprise, and the head of security opened the door. "Oh, come in, Roger. Make yourself at home. But don't forget you're a guest here." Tension hung in the air. Pretending to be completely clueless, Roger stepped over the threshold and closed the door behind him. "Roger, just don't say you and Kelly robbed my father together." Seeing her husband, Brit felt a sudden shortage of breath, despite her eyebrows involuntarily rising. Brit managed to smile and then nervously laugh. "Brit, what are you talking about? Kelly called me on the phone, offered to borrow money for a car. I immediately realized she got herself into something again. I came to figure it out." Roger's face flushed as he glared at Kelly. Had she told them everything? The doorbell rang again. It was the ambulance. After listening to Brit, the doctor asked Kelly a few questions, took her blood pressure, and promptly took her to the hospital without further ado. "Roger, you're coming with us," the head of security said. "Did you really think we'd just let you go? We have a lot of questions for you." "Damn," Roger muttered, watching the ambulance drive away. He didn't care about Kelly, but facing his wife was shameful. How had it come to this? The head of security opened the car door. "Roger, get in. Don't be shy." "I don't think I can be of much help to you," Roger said, trying to hide his discomfort. Things had gone too far. So quickly, in fact, that he didn't even have time to realize it. It started with a bit of flirting. Then their relationship escalated before he knew it. He only came to his senses when his wife kicked him out of the house. And now, it had come to the point where he was being implicated in a crime he had nothing to do with. Well, the entire office is buzzing. Everyone's talking about your dismissal along with Kelly's, the head of security said, eyeing him disdainfully. Roger glanced at his wife. Britt was barely holding herself together. Let's not spread gossip. Mind your own business. Anyone can make a mistake, Roger said, lowering his head and smirking. He glanced sadly at his watch. He should have been buying a car right now. Instead, he was sitting in someone else's car, answering probing questions like a guilty teenager. All right, let's get to the point. Did you know that Kelly opened the safe in Lucas's apartment and stole all the cash, along with a couple of folders containing important documents? Of course not. She called me yesterday, asking to be taken to the doctor. She started crying, saying she felt terrible. I told her I didn't have a car and to call a taxi. Roger paused. Kelly offered me money for a car. I was surprised and asked where she got the money. She hesitated and didn't give a clear answer. I figured she got herself into another scheme. I came to find out what was going on. If she had confessed to stealing from Lucas today, I would have told my wife immediately, Roger said, shaking his head for effect. Roger, if it comes out that you knew and didn't tell me, I won't let you near our child. And pray nothing happens to Kelly. I know you're the one who gave her that pill, and I'm not going to keep quiet about it, Britt said, sending a chill through Roger. So what? I didn't force her to take it. I have a witness. Her classmate saw her take it herself. I offered to take her to the doctor and cover all the costs, but she refused. Now she has to deal with the consequences. I don't care about her health. It was time to wrap up the conversation. Roger had informed his boss that he'd be a bit late after lunch, but he didn't want to abuse that trust. If you have no more questions, I'm leaving. My lunch break ended a while ago. If I get fired, who will feed my family? He said, looking at Britt again. Go, Roger. But remember that Kelly won't get away with it this time. As soon as Lucas recovers, he'll file a police report. I don't care. If she goes to jail, I won't be upset at all, Roger grumbled, opening the door and stepping out of the car. The last thing Kelly remembered was talking to the doctor. The man in the white coat was asking questions, and she could barely respond. Then there was a blank in her memory. She felt like she had fainted or slipped into a deep sleep. Kelly opened her eyes. She involuntarily listened to a conversation. Her roommate was whispering to a nurse in a white coat, sighing after every sentence. It's such a pity. She's so young. Wasn't there anything that could be done? Who needs a woman who can never be a mother again? She was brought in with septic shock and severe bleeding. Her hemoglobin was almost 0. She should be thankful we managed to save her. If we hadn't removed her uterus, she wouldn't have lasted another day, the nurse replied quietly. The woman on the neighboring bed covered her mouth with her hand and shook her head. Kelly immediately realized she was in a hospital room and that the women were talking about her. Images flashed through her mind, the paramedics entering the apartment, the head of security counting the money, and then threatening to have her imprisoned. Roger had arrived at the worst possible moment, glaring at her as if he wanted to kill her, and she didn't have the strength to say a word in her defense. The women were so engrossed in their conversation that they didn't notice Kelly had regained consciousness. She moved one hand, then the other, and tried to roll onto her side, but couldn't. The nurse turned her head. You're awake. How are you feeling? Any nausea? Headache? Never better, Kelly retorted sarcastically and turned away. Now she clearly understood that she had lost not only the money but also the chance to be a mother. Britt, I think we shouldn't upset Lucas. It's your decision, of course, but I feel like this news could push him to a second heart attack. said the head of security. I think so too. Although I really want to tell him. They needed to figure out what role Roger played in this whole mess. He was trying to keep his composure, but it was obvious he was very nervous. For some reason, Britt was absolutely sure that even if he wasn't at the scene of the crime, Roger was aware of everything and didn't just happen to show up at Kelly's apartment. What do you think about your husband? Is he guilty? Or was he really just there by chance? Asked Lucas's deputy. I'm sure he knew. She had decided to limit contact with Roger as much as possible the moment she saw him on Kelly's doorstep. Britt, would you like us to scare him a bit? Asked the head of security. There's no need. The only thing I want to ask you, Britt sighed heavily, is to talk to him and make sure he doesn't drag out the divorce. The sooner I divorce him, the better. Don't worry about that. We'll take care of it. Britt counted the days until her divorce. Roger, like a loyal dog, was practically camped outside her house every day, using emotional blackmail, emphasizing how no one could replace a child's real father. The news that the divorce hearing had been moved up by 5 days hit him hard. The hearing was scheduled for 9 a.m. The day before, Lucas's deputy had a talk with Roger. Roger disliked him immediately. He silently endured all his threats. Not only had this man brazenly intruded into his business, but he also hinted that there were witnesses who could testify that the prices for medical center equipment had been inflated and that the difference had ended up in Roger's pocket. Roger had no choice but to agree not to delay the process. On the day of the divorce, Britt meticulously prepared her appearance. She bought a new olive-colored classic suit for the occasion. The fitted blazer and knee-length skirt gave her an elegant look. She straightened her hair, and to drive Roger crazy and show him what he had lost, she wore high heels. Roger was waiting for Britt outside the cot house. The night before, he had bombarded her with messages, asking her not to rush and to reconsider. Britt, maybe we can postpone the hearing for another month, he said quietly, blocking her way. I see no point. Don't delay the process. You'll find out soon enough what will happen to you. Better not test my patience, Britt said sternly, pushing him aside as she entered the cot house. The hearing went perfectly. The lawyer had prepared all the necessary documents. Despite having a minor child, at both parties' request, the judge did not give them a month for reconciliation. They left the courtroom already divorced. The lawyer smiled and leaned toward Britt. Congratulations. I told you everything would work out. Thank you. Britt smiled back. Seeing Roger's reaction, she barely contained her laughter. He stood a few feet away, watching their conversation with undisguised disdain. Unable to contain himself, he approached them, ignoring the lawyer and addressing Britt. Britt, maybe we should celebrate this. I invite you for a cup of coffee. We have things to discuss, like when I can come over to see our son. Britt sighed heavily and rolled her eyes. If you start coming over too often, I'll have to get people involved again to explain where you shouldn't be. Think about it. What can a father like you teach him? Britt smirked. You can only teach him to cheat, betray, steal, and lie. Let's stick to child support and rare phone calls. Our son is still young. He'll get used to you being gone quickly. Try to take my advice and stay out of trouble. How are you? Did you get divorced? Kelly asked, and Roger, taken aback by her audacity, jumped in place. What's it to you? Roger grumbled discontentedly into the phone. 3 days ago, Kelly had called him. She complained about her fate. She was drunk again, tearfully begged him to come and support her somehow. At first, she blamed him for never being able to be a mother again. She scolded him for slipping her a pill that almost killed her. Then she started cursing the lawyer who took the money and didn't help. Tara got 5 years in prison. And what? Can't I call you anymore? Kelly snorted. Lucas called me, said he'll be here in half an hour. Hearing her words, Roger was speechless with fear. But then he regained his composure. Don't you dare say anything about me. God forbid you embarrass me in front of Lucas again. I don't know what I'll do with you. Use your head. Take the blame for everything. Don't involve me or Gary. Roger challenged, clutching his head. Hello, Kelly. How's life treating you here? Accompanied by the security chief, Lucas entered her apartment. With an undisguised smirk, he looked around, shook his head, and smiled. Kelly noted to herself that he actually looked quite good. Not bad, she forced out. Without further ado, Lucas took out his phone from his pocket. He played a video. Kelly saw how effortlessly she handled the code lock on the safe, took the money, grabbed the documents, glanced around without hurry, closed the safe, and left the room. I hope you understand that this is theft, and thieves belong in jail. Lucas put his phone back in his pocket. You put my mom in jail. Now you're after me. You just can't get over the fact that your former son-in-law chose me. Well, what can you do, Daddy? These things happen in life. She smirked sarcastically. And the money? Well, I returned it all to you. You can delete your video and not waste the police's precious time. Your mother got a sentence for kidnapping a child. It's a pity I spared you and didn't manage to get you and your accomplice locked up as well. I hoped you'd come to your senses. Lucas paused. I foolishly dreamed that after college, I would help you find a job. And what did you do to repay me? Decided I hadn't helped you enough. Got mad at my daughter. Destroyed her family. And what have you achieved in the end? Look at yourself from the outside. There were 2 successful women. They wanted for nothing. And now, one's in prison. The other will be soon. Don't make me laugh. There's no reason to put me in jail. You'd better help free my mother. Buy us a decent apartment, and you won't see us again. Kelly yelled. Believe me, not a muscle will twitch if I send you behind bars alongside your mother. Do you understand that you are nobody to me? Lucas calmly replied, and the security chief raised a thumbs up in agreement. Who helped you open the apartment and gave you the code? Your phone has the details of all my family members. Where did you get them from? Kelly's face turned red. Her eyes went wild, as if someone had just stolen her secret information. Your security service works pretty well, she said sarcastically. Don't bother. I did it all myself. Or do you still not believe in my abilities? You're wrong. I can still do a lot. When you're in jail, you can show off your abilities there. There are plenty of people like you. Kelly had seen Lucas in a bad mood many times before. During those moments, her mother tried to avoid him. About an hour later, Lucas began to calm down, and the house returned to its peaceful atmosphere. Her mother always said that Lucas was temperamental but reasonable. The main thing was not to bother him at such times. When Kelly stirred up a scandal in the family, that's what it was calculated for. But apparently, Lucas's character had changed a lot recently. Now she looked at this man and didn't recognize him at all. We're taking her. We'll take her to the station ourselves. I'll write a statement, provide evidence. Let them deal with it. They've annoyed me. If they don't want to live peacefully, let them sit in jail, Lucas said, ignoring Kelly's astonished face. Addressing the security chief. What do I have to do for you to leave me alone? Kelly said, her body shivering with fear that she might end up in jail too. You're telling me everything honestly. Then you write down your statements on paper. You write me a note that you won't come near any member of my family. Only in that case, I might grant you freedom. But it's not certain yet, Lucas said. Panic set in for Kelly. If Lucas didn't hesitate to put her mother behind bars, he surely wouldn't spare her either. But on the other hand, if she disappointed Roger again, he would bury her himself. Lucas, leave me alone. I didn't have any accomplices. I found an ad for a locksmith on the internet, and I found the data on your family members in Roger's diary. While he was taking a shower at the hotel, I snooped, took photos, and then copied them for convenience. I felt they might come in handy. She glanced sideways at the security chief. I wanted to get rich. Get my mother out of jail, so that Roger would see me differently, forget about his Brit, and come back to me. I was hurt that after 8 years, my mother and I left you with just one suitcase." There was silence in the room. The men looked at her as if she were nothing. At such a reaction, Kelly began to sob again. "Sit down. Write a sincere confession. Also, write about how you made a deal with Tara and kidnapped my grandson," Lucas said. The security chief took out a pen and a clean sheet of paper. When the confession was written, Lucas spoke again. "You shouldn't have started a competition with me. If I see you again, you'll end up behind bars. Live and fear." The door had long been closed behind them, but Kelly still sat at the kitchen table. She held the pen they left her as a memento and still couldn't believe that she had finally been left alone. "Laura, I'm home." Every time Lucas returned home, he prayed that his ex-wife wouldn't send him to his bachelor apartment. With a pounding heart, he looked at her cold face, trying to gauge her reaction. "Come in. You're a bit late today," Laura calmly replied. And Lucas, relieved, smiled. "Laura, maybe I should permanently move in with you. I feel so good here," he asked. Laura turned sharply. For a couple of seconds, she couldn't find the right words. Then, regaining her composure a bit, she stood up in front of him. "Let's pretend I didn't hear that," she said. "Then I'll keep saying these words until you hear them," Lucas boldly replied. "No." Laura snorted. "Yes." Lucas responded loudly. "Deal with your women first. I already did. Besides you, our daughter, and grandson, I have no one else. By the way, did you forget that I shouldn't be upset?" Laura didn't reply, just made a dissatisfied sound. "Tomorrow, I'll move my things here. Laura, can't you see that I'll never let you go again?" Laura still didn't respond, and Lucas, sighing heavily, said, "Laura, accept it. I'm not leaving from here now." Looking at Lucas with a surprised look, Laura silently shook her head. "Lucas, let's revisit this conversation when you're feeling better," Laura said, avoiding his gaze. "Okay. But promise we'll definitely come back to it." "Okay. I promise." The next day, Laura left for work in the morning. Today, Lucas decided to surprise her and cook dinner. He took the chicken out of the fridge and marinated it. An hour and a half before Laura's arrival, he put the chicken in the oven. While the chicken was cooking, he chopped fresh vegetable salad. And when everything was ready, he approached the window. A car stopped near the entrance. For about 5 minutes, no one got out, and when the passenger door opened and Laura appeared on the street, Lucas instinctively grabbed his aching heart. As Laura was climbing up, Lucas managed to wind himself up. Unpleasant images flashed before his eyes, making his heart clench, and a nervous tremor ran through his body. Hearing the squeak of the door lock, his legs carried him to the hallway. "Who gave you a ride?" He tried to speak calmly, but it didn't come out well. Biting her lip, Laura looked surprised at his irritated face. "An acquaintance." "And does this acquaintance often pick you up from work?" Lucas decided he wouldn't calm down until he knew the truth. "What does it matter?" "Lucas, it's none of your business. Did you think I just sat and waited for you for 8 years? In her mind, she cursed herself for not being able to hold back. She wanted Lucas to recover first, and then find out that she had recently started seeing someone. It would soon be a year since she met Sean through a colleague at work. Sean was a widower. 3 years ago, his wife died from an incurable illness. "Laura, I won't allow you to see anyone else. Don't even think about it. I've had enough. I lost you once already. I won't make such a mistake again. Starting tomorrow, I'll be the one to take you to and from work." "Lucas, you shouldn't worry. Let's not fight. Each of us has our own personal life. You react so sharply to everything, as if you've spent 8 years in a monastery." When the initial emotion subsided, Lucas silently worked into the kitchen and pulled the chicken out of the oven. His mood was practically at rock bottom. The image of Laura stepping out of the car with a happy face still lingered in his mind. "I understand everything. I just don't want to lose you anymore. Yes, I'm guilty. But believe me, there hasn't been a single day when I haven't regretted what I've done. You saw for yourself that I ran to you at the first call. I never refused anything. And I always didn't care that Tara didn't like it. For me, you, Britt, and our grandson were always a priority. Lucas, let's change the subject. I don't want you to get all worked up and have another heart attack," Laura suggested. Lucas grunted unhappily. It was clear to the naked eye that he was worried. He slammed the chicken on the table with such force that Laura flinched. "Let him stew for a bit. Anyway, she'll do as she sees fit." She liked Sean. He was calm, thoughtful, an interesting conversationalist. They went to the theater together. They often talked on the phone and simply went for walks in the evenings. Though, because of Lucas, they had to temporarily cancel their meetings. Time hadn't changed anything in Roger's life. Britt didn't even want to talk to him on the phone. On the rare occasions when he visited his son, she spoke to him with disdain, showing her indifference with every gesture. But yesterday was particularly frustrating. He showed up unannounced, only to find out that Zach had been staying with his grandparents for 2 days. And to top it off, Lucas's deputy, Jared, was there. They didn't let Roger in past the threshold, but he managed to notice fruits and wine on the table. The whole apartment smelled of Britt's signature dish, baked meat with vegetables wrapped in foil. It immediately brought back memories of the good old days when his wife often arranged romantic dinners at home. Fuming, he headed straight to Kelly's place. She had called him yesterday, inviting him over. She mentioned starting work on Monday, getting a job as a cashier at the supermarket. On his way, he stopped by the store, grabbed a bottle of vodka and some cheese. Yeah, not much time had passed, but his life had changed drastically. Now all that was left was reminiscing about his calm, steady life. It was hard to sigh and regret not being able to resist temptation. "Oh, look who's come to visit me." Kelly smiled, welcoming Roger into the apartment. "I've been sitting here bored, not knowing what to do. Where's your faithful friend, Gary?" Roger expected to see Gary, as usual, sitting at the kitchen table. So his surprise was evident when he didn't see him. He left town, maybe for good. His friend offered him a job at his company. He'll work for a couple of months, and if he likes it, he'll sell his apartment and everything. Kelly shrugged. "I'll practically be all alone. All my hope is on you. I hope you won't abandon me." Roger didn't say anything in response. "Roger, I wanted to talk to you seriously. Move in with me. Why pay for a rental apartment? Let's renovate and live together. I promise I'll change and be the best wife," Kelly said. Kelly knew Roger had been avoiding talks about this topic intentionally. His silence now made her feel uncomfortable. But she wasn't about to deviate from her goal. "How can I live with you if you can't even properly clean your apartment?" He poured himself a shot of vodka and downed it. The haughty face of Britt was still in his mind. He imagined Jared enjoying the baked meat with vegetables, washed down with expensive wine. "You're a fool, Roger. I'm offering you the most optimal option. If you don't want to get married, that's fine. I'm okay with just living with you. Think about it. You're not losing anything at all." Roger sighed heavily again. Moving in with Kelly wasn't part of his plans. Until today, he still held on to hope of winning back his wife. But after seeing her with Jared, he realized the dream was futile. And what did he have to lose by moving in with Kelly? Nothing. Maybe he should really consider her advice and move in. "All right, you've convinced me. Once you've done a deep clean of the house, give me a call. I'll gather my things and move in with you. But on one condition. I'm not getting married anytime soon." Lucas lay in bed, staring at the ceiling and lost in thought. Right now, he felt closer to his goal than ever before. He comforted himself with the hope that not all was lost. If 8 years ago he missed his second chance, he wouldn't let it slip away now, no matter what. Sleep eluded him. "Why are you up so early?" Laura asked, surprised. As he entered the kitchen, she hadn't slept well either. The conversation with Lucas somehow kept replaying in her mind. And then Sean sent her a text message, suggesting they meet tonight and take a walk in the park. Because of Lucas, she had to decline again. "I said I'll be taking you to work and picking you up from now on," Lucas calmly replied. Lucas had never considered himself a jealous person, but seeing another man next to Laura made him realize he had possessive instincts. And that wasn't the worst part. The fear came from Laura talking about him with such warmth. Added to the jealousy was the realization that she felt comfortable and interested with him. She liked him. Perhaps she even had some feelings for him. But Lucas wasn't going to allow that. "Lucas, stop obsessing over this. Just calm down and focus on your health," Laura said, pouring water into the kettle and placing cups on the table. Lucas took out the sandwiches. "Laura, this isn't up for discussion. I'll drive you," Lucas replied calmly. "Fine. Let it be your way," Laura conceded. After Lucas dropped Laura off at work, he immediately called Britt and asked to come over. Giving his a surprised look, Britt shook her head. "Dad, why do you look so pale? Did something happen? Did you have a fight with Mom?" she asked anxiously. Yesterday, when she had picked up Zach, her father looked much better. But today, she didn't recognize him. "Something unpleasant happened," he said, sinking into the armchair. "Did you know Mom has a boyfriend?" "Well, Mom said she met a man. They're just good friends. Sean is an interesting conversationalist. They have things to talk about," Britt said, holding Zach. "Do you know where I can find him?" "No, I don't. I never cared about where he lives. All I know is his name is Sean Karen. His wife died 3 years ago." "Why do you ask?" Britt stood up, placing Zach on the carpet. "For starters, I want to talk to him and make sure he stays away from my woman. Laura is not for him. He shouldn't even dream about it. I hope you're on my side." Lucas watched his daughter's reaction carefully. He looked at her with an impassive gaze, and when he heard her response, he was shocked. "Dad, don't be offended, but I won't help you with this. Of course, I'd like you two to be together, but I won't go against Mom. Like it or not, you have to accept her choice." 1.5 years passed. "Roger, you're a good employee, but unfortunately, we'll have to let you go. Think about it, who would keep an employee who practically comes to work hungover every day? I've warned you already. You held out for a month, but yesterday, you slipped again," the manager said. Overcoming his headache, Roger stood in the manager's office, staring blankly ahead. At that moment, he couldn't care less whether they kept him or fired him. Let them do as they pleased. Last night, he hadn't intended to get drunk. He came home from work, took a warm shower, and just waited for Kelly to come home. When there was still an hour until her arrival, he got bored and called an old colleague. At first, their conversation was about nothing in particular. Then he mentioned that Britt had started working in the analytics department. And then he began detailing how Deputy Lucas couldn't keep his hands off Britt. He emphasized several times that they often came to work together, had lunch together, chatted during breaks, and often left together too. Naturally, hearing such news, Roger's hands shook instantly. His mood soured immediately, and he felt the immediate urge to drink. "Fine, I've heard you. I'll write my resignation letter right now. If you have no further questions for me, I'll be going," Roger said, refusing to humiliate himself. Lucas pondered for a long time whether he should listen to his daughter's words. Honestly, he didn't expect such a reaction from her. He had tried several times to have a serious conversation with Laura. He clutched his heart, theatrically fell to his knees, begged for another chance. But Laura seemed not to hear him, or perhaps she didn't want to. Then he changed his behavior, started going for walks with Laura and Sean, even went to the theater with them a couple of times. He hoped that Sean would get tired of it and stop inviting Laura on dates. But Sean turned out to be very persistent. He started visiting more often, giving Laura small souvenirs that she was absolutely delighted with. 6 months passed, and one fine day, Laura hinted that Lucas should start getting ready to move back to his bachelor apartment. Once again, he had to comply. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't win her favor. Now all he could do was watch from the sidelines as his ex-wife lived her life, blame himself and regret betraying her trust. When rumors reached him that his daughter had started dating Jared, Lucas was very surprised. He immediately started keeping an eye on him, even secretly hired a private detective. After Tara and Kelly, he looked at everyone who approached his daughter with suspicion. He constantly searched for some catch in every person. However, Jared turned out to be not only a good deputy, but also a decent person. Jared's wife had cheated on him and left to live abroad with her boss. She left him only a short note and asked him to sign divorce papers. They didn't have children, and she didn't claim any property. All this time, Jared took good care of Britt, winning her affection. Lucas immediately noticed that his daughter had fallen in love again. She fluttered around the office like a butterfly. He tried not to interfere with his advice. He hoped that his daughter wouldn't rush into marriage, but it turned out that the wedding would be soon. Yesterday, Laura called him and informed him that Britt was expecting a baby. Jared had already proposed, and the engagement ring was already on their daughter's ring finger. Laura boasted that she and Sean had already been shopping yesterday, picking out outfits for the wedding. Well, let Laura go to the wedding with her Sean, and he would go alone.